I climbed up on a roof so that you could see actually the whole plan view of the excavation here. Tractor's still here. And then I'll hop down and show you what's going on. All right, we're out here on the job site again. Finally got to digging today. Got most of it done. Thought we were gonna get all of it, didn't. But got most of it. As you can see, there is a giant hole in the ground with shelves at different levels. What we ended up doing is going from water line, which you can see these little dots around the excavation or where the water line will be, is 14 inches down, then another 14, and then we're going where we're digging right there, which honestly, man, I could get that with a shovel this weekend if I wanted to. Another 20 inches down. For the most part, everything went really, really well today. There were a few things that didn't quite turn out as I expected them to. I didn't think through the details quite as well as airplane. Didn't think through the details quite as well as I would have, probably should have. Just tried to go with the flow and be creative a little bit, and it ran into a couple of problems. If you ever dig your own pond, these are things you might want to think about. For starters, we wanted a deep end, you know, where you'd be about chest high if you wanted to get in and wade around. And that's where, you know, you can see that this is the line of that excavation. It's not very wide. That's probably okay, and it's going to get even narrower because we're gonna have to add some rock in there, right? Once the liner goes in, we'll put a rock wall, you know, a natural rock wall stacked up against there, so it's going to come in even a little bit more. So it won't be a very wide deep end, but you know, you'll have all the rest of the space that'll be 28 inches deep that you can kind of wade around and that Violet can wade around and you can float in. But if you want to stand up to your chest or so, you're only gonna get a small kind of a run to do that in. But we're okay with that, so that's fine. And we were kind of restricted, right, on the width of our space, so that couldn't get a whole lot wider. What else? The other thing was, water line. As you can see, so these dots that I've marked out, boop, 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 around, are where the water line will hit. And that water line is set by the water level because we're on a sloping lot, slightly sloping lot. The low point in the pond is back here in the intake bay, which I showed in the last video. We've got about 6 inches of freeboard. I marked the water line in there, and I planned for 4 to 6 inches. We got 6 inches here. I could raise that a little bit to get that line up higher. I'm not super happy with how far down it will be. I wanted a more seamless transition from the from where the patio will be over here and the yard will be over here down into the water. I didn't want that big of, I think we're almost 18 inches in 10 to 12 inches, I think, above the water level at some spots. And the reason that happened is because when we first started digging, right, as you can see, there's just a nice narrow path around the stairway here, which means that the excavator can't get back there to dig. So we had to dig this part first and carry the dirt out of there. And so we used it, and we wanted the dirt over on this side so I could build up over here in some low spots. And so he was digging and compacting and, you know, putting stuff, and you can see the big pile of dirt back there. And I think it just got built up. I thought when I shot my grades, which I did not shoot very good grades because I don't have the right equipment to, was I would have about 4 or 5 inches of elevation change from, you know, ground level here to ground level back here. We'd have a real gentle slope. But the way it ended up with all the dirt coming out of the hole and getting compacted on the side of the hole as it came out, we ended up with like 10 to 12 inches over there. So I'll have to come up with a solution to that. And then I'll have to do the same, hop down in here. I'll have to do the same over here because I'm not thrilled with that. And I think I can bring that water level up another 2 inches and still have plenty for overflow if I want to, or get really crazy, you know, and put it up to, you know, the very, very top and have a really deep first shelf. But I don't want to do that because we planned for a 14-inch deep shelf. And that would mean if we get too deep, you wouldn't be able to plant very much because you want those marginal plants that you want to put around the edge of your pond need to be, they can't handle being in that deep of water. So I'll have to come up with a solution for this. Don't know what it's going to be yet, but I'll figure it out. I'm pretty excited. If you're wondering, you know, I showed you guys this in the last video. There's this kind of like mound of earth that we left here that separates the intake bay from the rest of the pond. And what will happen actually is when we're actually ready to fill it up, and actually ready to start, you know, rocking in and everything, I'll come back with a shovel and I'll carve this down probably about 10 inches. And then that will drop it to, you know, about 10 inches below, you know, 8 inches below the water level. And so the water there'll be a thin sheet of water that flows from the water level of the pond over into here, where the pumps will sit in another pit that I'll dig out in here. It'll be, you know, down even lower, and we'll pull the water over this, and that's where all the leaf and debris will collect like a skimmer. But again, like I said in the last video, this is too wide, so I'll have to choke it down somehow with, you know, with rocks, with boulders somehow to make it narrower. So anyways, that's the pond. Pretty excited to have a giant hole in the ground now, because it means I can order a liner and get going. Yeah, that's about it. A lot of dirt came out of this hole, but we managed to lose most of it in the yard. You can hardly believe that all of that came out of here, and there's still a little, you know, there's still a little bit more to come out here, but not too much. And it's all going to get lost in the side yard and over here and the other half of the backyard where I can use it to level out. So all in all, good day.
A few moments later.
All right. Redneck drainage solution functional. Trying to keep rainwater that falls over the next week or so out of our giant hole. Keep it from collapsing the walls of this kind of soft soil.